lasted a short amount of time, and then it's come back, and then you go into that space of, ugh, I give up, I don't care. And it's sort of loops and cycles, and then you, oh, it's too much, and then we lose weight again, and so the cycle continues. So a little bit of a breakdown of some of the discussion points tonight really is I would like to start off with what things are currently doing, what spaces everyone's currently in, what sort of methods are promoted by society, and then stretching it out into how I kind of go about it a little differently. So I love this quote, and I think it's a great way to open this, because so many people say to me, you know what, I just don't have the energy, I don't have the motivation to make changes, to eat healthy, to move my body. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of people feel that they lack motivation when they really lack clarity. And particularly when you're looking at health and wellness, the clarity is around what outcome you really want, who you really want to be, which space you really want to be in at the end of the journey. So goals become a very important process when you're shifting habits and sliding into a journey of changing what you did used to do and what you know, and into the new. So who am I to talk about all these things? I'm Dani, although I know most of you on here. Specifically with regards to when we're talking about weight, you know, that's something that I feel that I've struggled with pretty much my entire life. And it's not even just the physical weight itself. It really came down to how I felt within myself. And a big part of a weight loss journey or a weight management journey, or even just a general health journey, honestly comes down to how you feel within yourself and those deeper beliefs that you have of yourself. Those things tend to play a massive, massive role in keeping you stuck in a sabotage cycle. So all of what we discussed today is really how I've pieced it all together over years and years and years, and I'm kind of just giving it all to everyone really easily now. So when we think about what we currently do, so I've just pieced together a couple of examples of the things that we now consider diet culture. Okay, so when you want to go into a weight loss regime, when you want to change your habits, when you want to be fitter, when you want to feel better, when you want to be healthier, the first thing everybody seems to go to is I have to eat less and I have to move more, and that's it. And maybe we're on the search for a magic pill solution or a tea that's going to miraculously create these results. This seems to be a common theme because marketing in that world is on point and has just drilled into our brains. So we've got your fad diets and your restrictive eating. This is the calorie counting, the point system, the keto, the paleo, the shakes, the juice fasting, all these things, that the carnivore diet, that's one I haven't tried. All these things that really force you into a box where you deny yourself nourishment and wellness through restrictive eating. Now, in saying that, there are therapeutic benefits to certain dieting regimes, particularly around keto, for example. There is science behind it for certain conditions, particularly Atkins or a keto Atkins variation, for example, is very good for things like epilepsy. Particularly keto is really good for fast weight loss. However, it is the long-term extended use of fad diets and the incorrect use of these diets that ultimately end up in physical harm. And then this also comes down to how it's being promoted. Companies like to cash in on these diets, so they create all these products that are keto or low carb or paleo or whatever your flavor of the month is, and we all buy into it because it's so easy. We love it. We love that convenience aspect. The other thing that I hear often when we're talking about weight is everybody goes to the really high intensity workouts only. So they think that they have to get special gear and go into the gym, have this membership, and then sit there and do this really intense workout in order to actually maintain their weight, which is technically not entirely true. It's balanced movement. So, and then there's meal replacement shakes, calorie poor ready-made meals that you can buy that are sort of frozen and ready to eat. I don't know how tasty they are. They don't always look so good. And then obviously the fun of supplements, teas, magic pills. Working in a health food store was a big one where customers often come in and they ask for these supplements with mystery ingredients in them because they are meant to be the new thing for weight loss or what have you. And it seems to be the magic pill pool. So everybody wants that one pill that's just going to do it all for them. And these sort of 4 pillars form the basis of what we really know today is diet culture. Oops, I went too far. So I did put this in here. I thought it was appropriate so that everybody really understands as a naturopath and a nutritionist where we come from when we look at clients and we work with clients who have these extended periods of really restrictive eating and all the areas that it actually can cause harm. So on a physical plane, you're looking at nutritional deficiencies and gut problems. There are clients who come in and suddenly can't eat anything other than 5 foods because they were on this long-term extended diet that was really restrictive and have now taught their body that anything else is bad. So it goes through a long-term process of healing the physical form. On a mental plane, you're looking at things like body dysmorphia. There's this obsessive addiction to counting calories, to watching points, to measuring everything that you eat. And you end up in a state, I've actually met so many people who end up in a state of isolation because they're so concerned about going to their friend's house because what are they going to eat? They don't go out. What are they going to eat? It doesn't fit in with the regime and ultimately drives in that mental health place. And then this leads into that emotional factor where it's food trauma. You actually cause a trauma to your unconscious mind around food. And because the unconscious mind is such a simple piece of machinery, trauma to one food means a trauma to all food. It recognizes it as the same. So if you are feeling guilty about eating chocolate and about binging and having the Italian meal that you had at the restaurant the other night, ultimately you're creating a bad relationship with food in general, where your mind doesn't really know how to differentiate and it causes an emotional upheaval, shall we say. So when you're looking at weight specifically, I thought this was a really good thing to bring in to really bring awareness to the fact that what I believe is a healthy weight, what you believe is a healthy weight, what you believe is fitness, what you believe to be health in general, everything is going to be different to everyone else. We actually all have a different perspective on what healthy is and what it feels like. So to me, it's different to my partner, for example. He speaks about health in terms of fitness and being able to climb a mountain and do physical work. Whereas I speak about health on a different plane where it's about a feeling in my body and it's about no adverse symptoms in myself. So there's this different picture for everyone in what health is. And when it comes to weight, it's really much the same. Diet culture and simplifying things in medical terminology has really brought us into this box where we assume a healthy weight is a range of numbers. And that's why we're so obsessed with the scale. And the truth is that that's only one idea, one zone. Whereas on a holistic level, I want to know, how tall are you? How active are you? What is your environment like? What are your relationships like? How do you feel in your body? How do you feel in your clothes? Are you symptom free? Are you experiencing pains and aches or not? Do you get random headaches or not? These are the factors that you look at on a holistic level, rather than just focusing on a number. The official definition of what a healthy weight is a weight and wellness that is easily maintained by normal whole health eating. Normal whole health eating, not restrictive. On a further medical plane, what tends to be the other thing that people go to when they go to the doctor is the BMI. This is your body mass index, and it's this number that they take based on your height and your weight, and they give you a range. It's 18 to 24.9, and if you're in there, you're okay, and if you're outside there, you're not. And because it's such a strong suggestion, we flip out a little bit. But really it's in relation to cardiovascular health more than anything. So how do you feel? So when you're going on this journey and you're thinking about your body and how you feel, your size and what you weigh, how do you feel in it? Rather than, are you looking at the number on the scale and judging what you should be from that? So for anybody who's really sciencey and likes to see some solid numbers, I did put this in just to cover for everyone, because some people are very in the head and they like to see numbers. So these are some statistics from Australia based on diets and eating disorders. So at any one time, 13% of our population over 15 years of age, mostly women, will be actively dieting in some way, shape, or form. And of that 13%, 4% of those are actually struggling with an eating disorder. And when I say eating disorder, I don't just mean the extremes of bulimia, anorexia nervosa. I mean food trauma. I mean worry. You starve yourself because you're too scared to eat. You claim it's intermittent fasting, but really you just don't want to eat 3 meals a day. That's technically a disordered eating pattern. And then you binge on the weekend. So you're really good during the week, and then the weekend comes and you binge, and then it's like, okay, Monday's here, I'll be really good and I'll make up for what I ate on the weekend. And then you go really bland food, really simple food, and you even cut meals out. And then the weekend comes, or later in the afternoon comes, you got a dip in energy and you start again. This is a pattern of eating disordered eating. The success rate of diets, and I put this in because it's very interesting what they actually measure it as. 20% of the people who are on a diet are successful for lasting weight loss only when the weight loss is defined as losing 10% of your initial body fat and maintaining it for a year. So if you're not doing that, then it's outside. It's a really narrow little space to be in, to be considered successful. And only 1 in 13 Australians actually eat the required fruit and veg each day for nutritional wellness to avoid nutritional deficiency. 1 in 13. So I created this graphic really with the intention to sort of create a picture of what I've done and what I do with my clients. A normal protocol that you follow really reaches the surface levels. So these are your different levels, and they go from your surface level stuff into the deeper zones. So from your conscious and your physical to your unconscious, your emotional. And where diet culture is and where we've been taught health is at is here in level 1. So when you work on your exercise and your sleep and maybe even your career, maybe your self-talk even a bit, and you get out in the sun and you're moving a bit, great. And then suddenly it doesn't last because you've ignored all the other things underneath it that contribute to your health. And this is across the board for health. So this is not even just in terms of weight management. This is wellness. When you work with a natural health practitioner, you generally go a little bit deeper. So this is where you look at the deeper structures of the body, the bodily systems, hormonal imbalances. How's your gut working? Can you detox properly? Have you got an increased toxic load? Are you pooing enough? Are you peeing enough? Are you drinking enough water? Are there nutritional deficiencies that you've put in place in long term? So now you're diving a little bit deeper and you're getting into some deeper zones. Then there's the why. And I speak about this quite a lot with clients, and I speak about it on my social media. Goal setting, and I mentioned that in the beginning of tonight as well. Deep and meaningful goals. So most of the time when we have health, when we want to expand our health and step into a space of wellness, I hear goals like, I want to lose 10 kilos, or I want to feel healthy. And that's great, but it's very surface level. And there's no driver for you there because there's no emotional link. You're not tied to it at all. It's a statement. It's an outcome. So why, firstly, what specifically makes you feel healthy, and how can you measure that? 10 kilos is just a random number on a scale. How can you bring that into your reality? Is it that you want to be able to fit into your pants or buy a size 10 pair of jeans? Is it that you want to be able to run a 5K marathon? Bring it into it. It's a little bit more tangible and that you can kind of visualize it a bit more. And then ask yourself why you want it. What does having that thing bring you? And you keep asking why, keep asking why, keep asking why. Dive into it. And this is actually, it's called the why that makes you cry. When you ask why enough to every answer that you get about your goals, eventually you'll hit an emotion. And if you haven't hit an emotion, you haven't gone far enough. Keep going. When you hit your emotion, you know that there's something inside of you that clicked and went, yes, this is what I want. And it's that thing that propels you forward. That's your motivation. Number on a scale means nothing at the end of the day. But that deep-seated motivation, like I want to be able to run around in the garden with my grandkids and experience their life with them and take them on adventures, is much more powerful a driver than I want to lose 10 kilos. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Then you go further down. So as you get into the unconscious layers, you're looking at the emotional aspects that drive sabotage cycles in anything. What are the major negative emotions that you hold on to? When it comes to weight loss, the biggest one that I see is guilt. Guilt for looking a certain way, guilt for eating a certain way, guilt for moving a certain way or not moving a certain way. And guilt is guilt across the board. If you feel it in one area, it generally sticks around, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. Repressed emotions. We've been taught that vulnerability is weakness. We've been taught, particularly as women, we are too emotional. So we hold it back and we bury it down. The trouble is it festers. For men, they've been taught that it's weakness, so that to express emotion is weakness, and they are seen as non-masculine. And it festers in the physical form, because your unconscious mind recognizes that you are unsafe and creates an ailment to match the emotion. Dissociation I've got there. This is essentially this concept that we are no longer in our bodies. We live in our heads. We're up here all the time in the do. I've got to do the to-do list, and I've got to do the washing and hang the things and be at this place and drop the kids off. And we're here all the time. And we actually very often don't allow ourselves to be in our body, because when we're in our body, we're forced to actually experience the emotions in our body, the feelings in our body, the aches and pains, those major negative emotions, repressed emotions. You feel them when you're in your body, and it's easier to step outside of that and deny its existence. Yet it works against your health goals. Programs and inner beliefs, I've got it as the sort of really deepest layer. And I put those as the deepest layer because those are the things that are instilled in you at the earliest years, and the things that are passed down like from generation to generation. And if you are a person to believe in past lives, it's passed in through time and lineage. In a science perspective, a child from 0 to 7 years of age lives unconsciously. So absolutely everything that they take in around them produces an unconscious program. So a lot of the programs are put in place unwittingly when you're not even 8 years old. So particularly now, I feel with lots of screen time and things like that, with marketing and diet culture and how we approach our health and our life now in this busy bustle, there will be a lot of programs being installed at a very young age that feed into sabotage cycles, that feed into emotional eating cycles, that create these food traumas without even realizing it. This particular model is what I utilize in every aspect of my clinic. So whenever I do any sort of treatment now, and this is, why I went on to do NLP and what have you, I address these levels with all my clients. And when I'm looking at my own health, I address these areas of my own self. So yes, they can easily work on sleep and exercise and relationships, and it's very easy to do that. Yep, I can get someone else to even help me with the other things. But taking that holistic picture is how you create lasting results in your health versus short-term results that you just get frustrated with because they just keep cycling through. So Tony Robbins, an interesting man. By changing nothing, nothing changes. And there are multiple variations of this quote everywhere. And it's this idea that if you have been in the same cycle of wellness, whether it's with regards to weight, whether it's pain, sleep, whether it's regards to eating, exercise, whatever it might be, changing it, doing something different is the thing that might get you the different result. So, yes, there are different labels on fad diets, for example, but a diet is a diet. If you were restricting your intake of calories, it's the same as restricting your intake of carbs, which is the same as restricting your intake of red meats or whatever it might be. Restrictive eating is restrictive eating. So you're stuck in a loop of doing the same thing and hoping for a different outcome, which is what Einstein declared insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So awareness of what your cycle is and what you've been trying is key, because then you're going to be able to go, right, my go-to when I feel like I've picked up weight, or when I feel bloated, or when I'm not sleeping, or when I'm having headaches, whatever it might be, is that I go back to the gym and I only do this class and I only go once a week, and then I eat a bar of chocolate when I go home, or whatever it might be. Pick up your cycle, notice your patterns, and then do something different. So some immediate take homes that you can do straight away. Ultimately, first port of call, and I went into this in depth, is know what you want. Really get clear on it. Yes, 10 kilos, great. Give us some more. Dive into it and really explore and imagine the person you want to be, how you want to feel, what you want to look like, what you're wearing, this, future healthy, goal-achieving version of yourself. What is she wearing? What does she look like? What does she smell like? How does she speak? What does she eat? Would she get home and binge a whole bar of chocolate? Or would she, for energy, or would she put on her walking shoes and go for a walk with the dog? Ask yourself these questions so that you become super clear on what it is you want out of the changes that you're making and why. Remember the why. So in the Facebook group that I have, I actually put up the goal setting document that I give to my clients. So to help you dig into that underlying why, and then how to anchor it in so that it constantly motivates you. So do pop in there and make use of it. It's a really good little handout. Spend some time with yourself and really dive into what it is you want. Not what someone else tells you you should want. What do you want? How do you want to feel? What do you want to think? What do you want to wear? And believe that it's possible. Write it down, get clear on it. That's step one. Easy for everyone to do, and you should do it and reevaluate it as often as you like. Number 2, balanced meals. Right, so every meal that you eat should have proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. They are all molecules and chemicals that play a specific role in the body. Food has become just this thing that we do. It's almost like it was just, we were taught that we eat when our stomach makes that weird sound, and then, that's it. So we've got this detachment from what food really is. And the truth is, it's fuel for the body. You can't expect that your car's going to drive if it's got no petrol in it. This is the same when it comes to the body and food. How can you expect that you're going to have energy, that you're going to have good periods, that you're going to lose weight, that you're going to do all these things when you're not giving it the juice? And if your car requires high premium $2 a litre fuel and you're feeding it the 50-cent stuff, do you think it's going to go very far? Probably not. Can't put water in there either and expect it to go. It doesn't work. Food is literal fuel for the body. It is nourishment. Embrace it for what it is and be so amazingly thankful for it, because it has the power of medicine. Now, in saying that, I know that there are some people who want to be able to change their health trajectories without giving anything up, and they want to keep eating the same way, and they want to keep drinking alcohol, and they want to keep 5 cups of coffee and all the sugar and have ice cream every night. As much as I love ice cream, so as much as I'd want to say yes, let's eat ice cream every night, there's no conceivable way that sugar is going to be aligned with what you're wanting to achieve. So if you're looking to make a change in your body, consider, where does this product that you're eating come from? Is it man-made? Do you even know what's in it? How many steps of processing has it really gone through before you pick it up off the shelf? Because the more processed it is, the least from its natural form it is, which creates a problem for the body to digest it. So that's why they say shop on the outside of a grocery store, right? Because you go through Whole Foods zones and then you get your fresh milks and stuff and that sort of thing. And it's the midsections is where you're going to find your processed stuff. And it's all fine and fair because we want convenient life. So we go for the ready-made gluten-free bread. But what about all those other numbers and long-ass words in the ingredients list that you don't even know? And if your brain doesn't know it, your body doesn't know it. It's a chemical. Balance your meals. And check in, when you're eating something. Check in. How do you feel about it? Because I was on a Mediterranean diet where I ate pretty much all whole foods and it didn't sit well with me. And that's okay. You get to find what works for you if you're willing to be aware of it. If they say spinach is the thing that you should be eating, yet you get diarrhea afterward, don't eat it. It's fine. Come see a naturopath, we'll sort it out. But, check in with your body and you'll become aware of what sits well with you and what doesn't. And then point 3 ties into that. This is the Whole Foods are already made. Wherever you can, make it yourself. That way you have control of what you're putting into your body. It becomes a choice to fuel your body with the highest level that you can, which ultimately boosts your ability to maintain your health, your weight, your sleep, your energy, your mental health, your mood. It's your ultimate ready, easily accessible thing. We're very lucky in this country that we have so much readily available to us. Maybe not at the moment because the shelves are really bare. However, generally, we're good. Breath and presence I've put on here, and it is a direct tie-in with this idea that we step outside of our body. And it's a direct link to your nervous system and your brain and your mind. Bringing awareness back, so focusing in on doing deep, meaningful, present breath work is a very quick, easy way that you can just come back. And when you're here, your mind is like, okay, I feel safer. And when you feel safer, I'm talking from the unconscious mind's perspective here. When your mind feels safer, it's like, okay, I can digest my food properly. I can do these things that I need to do to maintain health in my body. Because when you're up here and you're stressed, you're storing fat to get away from the saber-toothed tiger, which these days just comes in the form of traffic jams and to-do lists and deadlines. So stress management, breath work, presence in the body becomes a major component of a health journey, regardless of what your end game goal is. And if it is to shift the extra kilos, definitely need to do it. Now, movement is the one that I get most resistance to when anybody comes to see me, because it becomes, I have no energy to move. I have no energy. I'm too down. I can't build up the motivation to move. Firstly, I've put here that it's movement that matters. It's movement that works and sits and well and aligned with you. And the irony of it all is that it is because you are still that you have no energy. Movement to the edge, not like I'm strolling around window shopping in the mall kind of movement, like push yourself a little bit. That wakes the body up and goes, whoa, I need to do something. Let's get some energy produced for the body. And then it starts taking from the fat stores to build up the energy. And the neurotransmitters in your head go, oh, this actually feels good. Let's create some more. So moving your body will actually give you energy. We as humans are not actually meant to just sit, as fun as it sometimes is. It's not actually functional for the body. So when you're feeling a lack of energy, don't reach for the chocolate, reach for the running shoes. It seems counterintuitive, but it actually works. And then you'll get a really good perk up of energy. You'll be like, oh my God, I feel amazing. And then you'll feel amazing in yourself. And then you'll celebrate it. And it's got a knock-on effect that ultimately leads you to your goal. And choose the movement that suits you. So boot camp every day, probably not. Mix it up. Do what feels good for you. Meet your edge from where you're at. So what I mean by that is, if you are just a walker and you know that you can walk at your normal, I'm shopping and having a good time and relaxing pace for 30 minutes, take that, up the tempo a little bit. So you're doing a couple more steps each time. So you just pick up the pace and you're going to do it for an extra 10 minutes. It's a really small tweak, yet it's going to push you just outside of the comfort zone so that your body's like, oh, I'm actually doing something. And then it'll start to respond that way. So you don't have to go from doing no movement into 7 days of gym. Probably more traumatic than anything. Work with where you're at. Embrace what you know and where your body is currently at and work with it. Just make minor tweaks. Push yourself to your edge of your comfort zone and then take a step further. If you really want to be brave, you can take a couple more steps further. Work with what you've got. Like today, based on where I am in my cycle and everything that's going on for me, amazing, massive, intense workout was not on the cards. So I went for a longer walk, and it's a bit more of a power walk, not just a, and I did it in the heat so that there's a bit of detoxing for me, and I went the long way around. So I know I can do it in a quick 20 minutes, but that's the comfort zone. So you go the other way around, and you do it the long way around, and it takes you 45. So now I've given my body movement that matters and that makes a difference. Sleep hygiene. If you don't sleep, fun and games. When we look at mechanisms in the body, in terms of weight specifically, lack of quality sleep actually switches off a hormone that is produced in your brain that tells your body when it's full. So it actually makes you hungrier. So you eat more. And this is because you're depleted and you didn't do the healing at night. So your body comes in and goes, okay, I need more fuel so it can get me through that time until I can heal at night. So sleep hygiene is switch off screens and things. Best an hour, but 30 minutes is okay. Get the blue light ratio out. Read a real book, not a tablet book. If you're a reader in bed. Do breath work before bed. It's a really good way to reset the nervous system. Have a good shower or a bath. Herbal teas, nothing caffeinated. Avoid the sugars. These are all things that play into sleep hygiene. And I've put here in the last one, I've touched on stress management a bit already, so I won't go too much into it again. Except to say that stress has become such an adulterated term. Stress is actually good for us in short-term experiences. It keeps us safe. It's just our long-term, chronic stress lifestyle that causes issues with our health. And the end is new patterns, beliefs, and habits. Find what you do on repeat and autopilot. Become aware of it. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing, saying, believing, serving me and aligned with what I want? And if it's not, choose to do something different in that moment. So if you would usually open the cupboard and have biscuits as a snack, and you notice yourself go, backtrack and choose the nuts and seeds or whatever it might be instead. And when you do that often enough, you form a new habit. And celebrate it every time you do it, by the way, because then your mind is like, yes, this is amazing. And then you keep doing it. So those are some things that you can do and implement straight away. So I've touched on this a little bit, and I'll just give it to you again, just in a bit more depth. The things that I do with my client on that holistic level is focusing on that 5-tiered level holistic approach model. And motivation and accountability becomes the biggest reasons why my clients don't actually want to do anything else. I have no motivation. My daughter didn't want to come on the walk with me. My friend was sick and didn't go to gym, so I didn't go. Accountability. So this is when you enlist someone in a professional capacity even that's going to keep you accountable if you don't have that person sort of right next to you. So fast tracking the results is when you're diving into other modalities. So that's your natural therapies. Coaching is a great one to reflect back at you what habits you have in place that may not be serving your goals. Naturopathy, acupuncture, nutritionist, all the natural therapies are really great. So for me personally, I'm doing these masterclasses throughout the year, and I've got the free Facebook group that'll have free value in it. So it's really about education so that you know how to do it for yourself and you can empower you to take back that control and the responsibility of your wellness. There's also things like your hair testing. So really diving into what specific foods and things are not sitting well with your body and causing inflammation. And pathology testing is when you're going a little bit deeper to discover if there are any structural issues, nutritional deficiencies, things that you might not recognize are there, to give you a direction to go in. So this is really going to come down to lots of very big system-y things like thyroid and hormone imbalances. That's where you dive into that, on particular gut stuff too. So this is what I do, and I thought I'd pop this in as an idea of what investment there is in terms of working with me specifically. The biggest one is just a bundle which keeps you accountable. So that's naturopathy sessions, really dive into the whole health approach. And the hair biocompatibility testing, which I'm happy to send anybody information on, which is really amazing in terms of, 600 plus ingredients, products, household items, fibers, metals, anything that your body actually might be reacting to. It takes the guesswork out of it. So you'll be able to see, right, this is what I've got around me. This is what's sparking inflammation. This is what's spiraling into that cycle of my physical form not coping. So it becomes easier for you to go and create this beautiful whole health program for yourself in terms of food, without having to try and figure out what's going on. It just takes it a bit easier. And that's just some testimonials because they're nice words and I love them. And that's it. That's enough of me telling everybody the things. So I thank you for coming in and being part of this journey for the first one. And we do totally have time for some questions or some chats. So if anybody does have a question, feel free to unmute or just type it in the chat if you're shy. That's cool too. And yeah, go for it.
Hey, Dani.
Hey, Teresa.
Hello. I wanted to ask you, with the hair testing, how is that different from an allergy test in terms of like allergies? What are the specific differences between the hair testing and just general allergy tests?
So for a start, an allergy test is generally a blood test. And
Okay.
what they look for is immune response markers. So your body will produce certain actual responses to the foods. Whereas the food test is going to take a snip of, it's actually just the end bit of your hair. And it actually checks into how your cells respond to certain foods to just determine whether your cells are sort of reacting poorly to it or whether it's good. Just to give you an idea of what you might be intolerant. I'm going to use intolerant, but intolerant to rather. So this particular hair test won't dive as deep as allergies. So if there is something that you are allergic to and it's on there as okay, don't eat it, obviously. However, this is just a good space to reduce the inflammation in your body so that you can give it a chance to